Alright guys, how are we doing? We are back with a comics review video. If you see my shorts, then you know what comics I've got, so I'm going to get right into it. First up that I'll be reviewing is Moon Knight issue 4, Legacy number 244. This is written by Jed MacKay and the art is done by Devamlia Pramanik. So the story opens with Detective Fraser and Dr. Sturman talking. Detective Fraser is trying to get some information about Moon Knight. Sturman won't budge. She isn't having any of it. She doesn't give any details at all to him. Sorry, to her. And then she ends up going on the phone to Fairchild, who is the drug lord, if you've been following. He's responsible for the glitter on the street. But when Fraser can't get any information from Sturman about Moon Knight, it looks like the Fairchild wants to pin the glitter drug on Moon Knight. It actually calls it Moon Dust, which is quite a cool name, I will be honest. And then we cut to deep beneath New York City right here, look. We have Moon Knight sitting all alone, like a rat as described by Fairchild. So we find out that he's gone underground in New York City and he finds a TV there, playing the news, finds out that he's been framed for the drug trafficking, destroys the TV. They also mention the Midnight Mission, which was actually killed last episode, but they say last issue rather. They say that that was the base of operations for the drug trafficking and stuff, which obviously isn't true, but that's how the media is portraying it. And then after all these years, I can't remember last time I've seen these, but we have Jake Lockley back again. So Moon Knight is getting his split personalities once again. So he talks to Jake. Jake is saying we need to get out of here. We need to basically get back on our feet. And he basically just says this is all because the girl is mad. The girl being Tigra. If you've read the series, you know why. Moon Knight has hidden the fact that Hank Pym is actually still alive. Nobody knows this except him. And he finally tells Tigra in the last issue. And she goes mad. Don't see her at all in this issue. So God knows where she is. Has she gone to find Hank? You don't know. And then after Jake Lockley appears, we have Stephen Grant, the millionaire or billionaire. Don't know how loaded he is. But he's got money, that's all I need to know. And he basically taunts Mark, saying, what, are you afraid of some gangsters? You fought vampires, supervillains, but you won't go after a man in a suit. And he's got a point there, but Mark defends being afraid by saying he takes the hit, he gives it back, but this man in the suit, he isn't given the hits, he don't know how to react to this. This is all new for him. And I think he's feeling a bit of guilt because he's going after the Midnight, well, he's gone after the Midnight Mission. Midnight Mission is dead. They're going after Tigra, Reese, Soldier, even 8-Ball. And I really like the art from Pramanik here, displaying the two personalities with a white border, just as like a disconnect. So it shows that there's like some distance between the two personalities. They're not on the same. They're on the same page literally, but they're not on the same wavelength. They don't think the same things. It is a full-blown different personality, and I think that's shown throughout the artwork. And it's on this page that he decides to go alone. He don't want his friends to get in any more danger than what they already are. So he goes full-blown loner like he has done in the past. This is what Moon Knight is. This is how the character was intended to be, I believe. So he actually gets up, starts to walk around this underground place he's in, and he comes across the Vermins, which is usually a Spider-Man villain. And he actually references this. He says he's not going to take it easy on them like Spider-Man does. And Jake and Steven are both saying, no, don't do this. This is suicide, basically. There's too many of them. Mark says, no, I'm done running. And he jumps into the crowd of them. Just like that. Not a care in the world. He's got one thing on his mind, and that's murder. And he goes full-blown savage mode here. He just doesn't care. Beats them all up. He's still talking and arguing with Jake and Steven, but he just goes for it. And just when you think he's going to die, he raises his fist in the air and screams, nothing can kill me, which is true because now he's got Khonshu back. Obviously Khonshu can resurrect him if he dies. Can't be killed. And this is the bit where, yeah, you know he's going savage. All he needs is the wild dog. Costume drenched in blood. That's why he has a white costume, so he can see the blood. This is classic Moon Knight right here. This is your old Moon Knight. This is what you're used to. And then after that, he makes his way into Detective Fraser's apartment, and basically just interrogates her and gets her to put Fairchild on the phone, where he agrees to fight him, and that is where the issue ends. So in the next issue, I'm expecting to see them two fight, or it could be like an in-between issue, looking at the perspective of Tigra, where is she gone to. But what I've taken from this issue is Moon Knight has gone solo again, which is what you want from a Moon Knight series. He works better alone. He's a loner, he's a lone wolf. He does his best work all on his own, a bit like Wolverine in that sense. Moon Knight is finally getting to Fairchild. We've had 3 issues where he sort of danced around him, but he's confronted him here, spoke to him, and they agreed to fight. And biggest of all, Jake and Steven are back. I've been wanting them two back for a long time. Glad to see them back, because I like that aspect of Mark. I've got DID, got multiple personalities in his head. I think it makes for interesting stories, and I'm glad to see them back. Next up, we have probably the biggest book of the week for many of you people, Deadpool issue 10. This is legacy number 345, written by Cody Ziegler, and the art is done by Rogue Antonio. So the story opens up with Ellie having a nightmare. This is Deadpool's daughter, about her mum. Obviously her mum is the reason how she was able to bring herself back to life, as well as Deadpool. And she wakes up from that nightmare screaming, and her dad is sat in a chair next to her, snoring. This is how we find out that he's been in full-blown dad mode, not let her leave his sight. He's been doing everything he can to keep her safe, which is quite sweet. And they end up in the kitchen where Ellie talks about how she was able to bring them back to life, and their healing factor ain't as strong now. And Deadpool feels guilty about this. He feels like he's failed, died and wasn't there for her. That's why he's feeling guilt. But she tells him not to worry about it. She says, "It was my idea. I was the one who wanted to bring us back to life. I was the reason why I chose to have my healing factor halved, just to have you back." And they have a nice moment where they hug at the end of the panel, right here. And then we find out that Taskmaster and Doug were there all along. They were there while they was having the moment. And this is where Taskmaster says, "Look, I need to reteach you guys, get you back in the field, get more money for the business because they are struggling. It looks rough, not a very nice place to live, work, so they need money, need jobs." So here's Taskmaster teaching Deadpool and Ellie, and it doesn't really go to plan. Deadpool's not taking it seriously. He's relying too much on his healing factor, which isn't as strong as it was before. And this is where Taskmaster just decides, screw it, I'm sending you guys to a Russian gambling gang party thing. And they've all got guns, of course they've all got guns. But they crash onto the table like this. It's very cool artwork. And the Russians aren't happy about their game being disrupted, so start shooting at them both. Deadpool takes a bullet for Ellie, and this is where you find out that he's been relying too much on his healing factor. And Deadpool and Ellie work together here to defeat them all. Deadpool slices a man in half. Ellie drop kicks a man in the throat before he's able to get shot off. And we find out that Ellie is very tactical when it comes to fighting, more tactical than Deadpool. And she comes up with a plan. She notices that the guns have a long reload time, and they've only got one shot before they have to reload. So when they take a break to reload, that's when they pounce, so they can do nothing about it. And she throws a dagger into the guy's gun, and as the gun shoots, it's like a big gun, as the gun shoots, it explodes, killing them instantly. And then they walk away back to Taskmaster, and he's straight back to business. He says he's got another job lined up for them both, but it's not the most moral job. It's very shady, probably shouldn't be doing it, but money is money, basically what he's trying to say. So he gets onto the phone to the client, asking for coordinates of the target's whereabouts, and he gets the coordinates, sends them to Deadpool. But first they teleport to a big arsenal. They have guns as far as the eye can see, and they end up on a rooftop. Now if you know where this is going, you know that it's not good. It raises a lot of questions, but if you don't know, spoilers, if you haven't read this, be sure to pause here, read it, because it is Spider-Man. So that's how the issue ends. You find out that Deadpool has taken a job to kill Spider-Man. If you saw on the last page, Ellie does not look happy about it. She looks shocked. As you can see, her eyes convey that emotion. So the things from this issue that I took, obviously Deadpool is back. This seems like classic Deadpool. He's doing morally ambiguous things. He's took a job to kill Spider-Man, and he's kind of just explaining like, money's money. It is what it is. It's got me wondering, is Ellie's mum going to be the next big bad of this next arc? Because that's how the story opens. Ellie's mum's kind of towering over her in her dreams. And lastly, how's the fight going to go down with Spider-Man? Deadpool seems to be going like a full-blown villain. Will Ellie be able to make him come to his senses? We'll have to find out. And lastly, we have Hell Hunters issue 2. This is a variant cover written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Art is done by Adam Gorham, and the variant cover that I've got is done by Salvador Larroca. So it starts off in Nazi-occupied France. Can I say Nazi on YouTube? We'll find out. So we start there, June 1944, and it looks like the French are fighting back at the Germans, and they lock themselves in this barn where these monsters who we first met first issue come and possess these soldiers, and that's the last we see of that. And then we cut to 2 days later where the main crew is walking. They get blocked. The path is blocked by a destroyed tank, and the Soldier Supreme uses the Eye of Agamotto to find another route. And this is how he finds out. He accidentally finds out that Romero, who became Ghost Rider in the last issue, finds out that a soul has latched onto him, making him the Ghost Rider. Basically, it's the deal with the devil, you know, main Ghost Rider story. And off in the distance, they hear some gunshots. Turns out to be the Nazis when they look on their binoculars. They go over to them, but they're all dead. Logan has beat them to it. This is the first we see of him. Doesn't have claws, which is weird. Instead, it has 2 big daggers, blades, machetes, in his hands. But he's able to tell that these are Americans just by sniffing at them. And we end up finding out that Logan is being haunted by the same monsters in the beginning. The innocent soldiers that were killed, they are taunting him, saying, "Why did you leave us?" Making him feel guilt. "Never leave a man behind, Logan, that's what you said." Just making him feel guilty, and just in his head, clouding it with thoughts, making him not concentrate. And then it cuts to Romero, pun intended, cuts to Romero being sliced up in the middle like that, and his guts literally spilling out onto the floor. And this isn't a red band, so I was surprised to see that much blood in a story like this. Now luckily, Soldier Supreme has this sort of alien rifle, and it's able to actually defeat these monsters. So they're off fighting, and then Ghost Rider, you just see a chain on fire hit one of the monsters, cuts them in half, and Ghost Rider appears. So it looks like he can't be killed because he doesn't have this big cut down the middle of his chest, as you can see. So it looks like he's got a healing factor from the Ghost Rider spirits. And when one of the monsters taunts him about Bruckner, he just grabs him by the throat and gives him the penance stare, obliterating them. And he says, "Tell him I'll see him soon." So he's ready to fight. He wants to get there, wants to defeat him. But once all these monsters are gone, you see Davey, who was one of the monsters, seems to be a friend of Logan's, and he tells him about Bruckner, and he makes him promise to send him to hell. Logan says, "Count on it." Logan wants to kill him, wants to send him to hell, so he promises that to his dying friend before he turns to ash, just like Infinity War. And on the last pages, we have the monsters appearing again, just like that, over Normandy. We have loads of ships coming in, and they just decide to freeze the entire ocean. And so this must be D-Day. The ships go down to the Normandy beach, and they just storm the boats, and that is where it ends. So we finally met Logan. He's part of the team. I'm thinking, will Soldier Supreme play a big role? Obviously, as the eye of Agamotto and that rifle. He's got to be a big game player. He's got to be one of the main heroes, I think. So it's interesting to see what they'll do with him. And I want to see what happens with all of those boats that they froze, because I didn't mention it, but they said they need a bigger army, close to 1 million in numbers. Will the boats be enough? And if it is enough, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They will be hard to defeat. So yeah, I'm looking forward to issue number 3. But that is it for this week's review, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your favourite book was. What books did you buy this week? And I'll see you in the next one.